And now, the host of the PhxDev Show, Mark Scott.
Good. Oh, it's my favorite. It gets me every time. Every time I dance a little bit. Then I go, oh yeah, the VO works great. And then I saw Kieran grab his pipe and I'm like, oh yeah, pipe's on that.
I do have a pipe collection here that I can bring over. I can swap them.
Oh man. Welcome everybody to the PhxDev Show. I'm joined by a litany, a panel of ServiceNow professionals. Let's go one by one and introduce ourselves. So first of all, I'm Mark Scott, PhxDev, and we're going to add one more person to the stream as if we didn't have enough. Here's another person to add, but we'll go through each person. I'll throw to you to introduce yourself. So first up, Kieran, you ready? We'll throw it to you first.
Yeah, sure. Hey, yeah, hi, I'm Kieran. Tomorrow, I am Principal Outbound Product Manager for Creator Workflows at ServiceNow. And I've been in this role for about 10 months now. And prior to that, worked in the consulting space for about 6.5. So, yeah, it's been a good run so far.
All right, Gabby.
Hi, my name is Maria Gabriela Ochoa Perez Wechter, and I am on approximately 2 hours of sleep for the past 34. I'm having a great time. My nails are still kind of okay. I just started at Servos as a senior technical consultant. I'm back in consultancy, so it's like perfectly topical.
Right.
Other than that, I'm a 2021-2022 developer MVP, and you better go to womennow.dev and go read some good articles.
Yeah. All right. Throw it to Sharon now.
I am Sharon Barnes. I am a business analyst over at Clear Sky nowadays. Prior to that, I did work as a consultant with New Access Innovations. And with them, I got to go ahead and just help a variety of government clients solve some very unusual problems.
Very cool. All right, Mr. Mayor himself.
Hey everybody, Mike Lombardo, CEO of GlideFast Consulting. We're a ServiceNow elite partner. Happy to be here. It's my first time on the PhxDev Show. I'm excited.
I also think, Mike, you hold the bar for the highest CEO yet, and I don't think we'll get another one. I think you're one. And
you got a mayor.
Yeah, you got a mayor, right? Yeah, you'll be the mayor. But yeah, you're like a unicorn when I pull like the mayor, the CEO, the architect, the ex-architect, the consultant. Like that's why I pulled you on. I'm like, yeah.
Hey, you know what though? My team won't let me have the admin role anymore. So you guys all have that on me.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, raise your hand if you still got admin and prod. So
I don't have admin and prod.
Yeah,
and neither should you. No developer should have admin and prod, and I cannot stress this enough. Let go of your control issues, y'all.
Yeah.
But also, I'll have you know that you are in the presence of SNDev's Presidential Chief Director of Marketing and Branding. Okay, like I also got a cool title.
MGOPW. I've always loved. Even when you had MGOP, I love that. I always loved that.
Thank you.
Love your brand.
I love being supported for 4 initials and 5.
I would support both of them.
All right, so let's get into it. I want to keep it tight because there's a lot of people on this call, and it's a very expensive call. Consulting is a skill set, right? What is it that makes a consultant? And I think what I'm going to have to do is just kind of throw to people, and if I really want to kind of define the term before we get into what it takes to be a consultant. So what is different about being a consultant from, let's say, working in an enterprise? So, Gabby, you're giggling the most. I'll start with you.
Very, very actually. So you just made me realize, tell me you're a consultant without telling me you're a consultant. And you're, when you're tallying up people's salary and how many people are on a call going, oh my God, this is thousands of dollars wasted. That's my favorite thing in the whole wide world. Yes, let's invite 20 people to this 8-hour workshop where only 3 people need to contribute. What was the question again?
I'm sorry. The question is, what is different about being a consultant than being in the enterprise? So, what would a consultant be different than someone that had, just a salaried employee every day kind of goes to work?
In my opinion, that one ends up kind of being slightly nuanced depending on what kind of customers you end up having. Because, in my opinion, even as an internal resource, your users are your customers. Those you're still liable and responsible to them. But it ends up being a lot of red tape and a lot more caution that you need to take when you're working with government SOWs, and you have to very strictly adhere to rules and regulations with that type of stuff. And compliance, it's an entirely different beast. Accessibility and compliance in actual contracting and government work than it is on any non-university type of work, in my opinion.
Sure. So you said an acronym there. I wanted to define SOW, right? Statement of work, right?
I'm glad you didn't ask me to say what that meant.
Just making sure. Go ahead, Karen.
I was going to say, so that right there was a consultative answer right there. Because, I mean, essentially that's the one thing. Consultation is a mindset. It is kind of seeing the issues ahead of you kind of in a circumspect manner and kind of with a little bit of a critical distance that you don't necessarily have when you are directly inside of an organization. Because a lot of time in an organization, there's so much internal politics, there's so many kind of confluent issues that you don't have the ability to have critical distance from. And a consultant comes in and they're able to kind of parse the situation kind of free of that. And then be able to kind of provide best practice recommendations on a particular subject and give implementation guidance, right? Kind of trying to just maintain that, hey, look, we are looking to solve X, Y, Z. This is particularly what we're focused on, and really driving that message. So I would say that to me is the crux of consultancy. It doesn't matter what you're consulting in, but it is kind of having that mindset.
Kenny. Yeah, and Karen, I'd agree. And MGOPW, I agree with both you guys. For me, and I think as the ServiceNow ecosystem has grown and customers have adopted a lot more of the platform, it definitely has changed a little bit. But for me, especially like going from the customer world to the consultant world is just, it's like going at 20 miles an hour to 150 miles an hour, right? It's much faster. You're getting exposed to more product and more applications, right? And for me, I went from I worked at a hospital, so our main lines of revenue was healthcare and supporting patients, right? Which was great, but ServiceNow is kind of last on the list, right? So but when you go into the consulting world where you are the product, essentially, the company makes money off of my hours, my billable work, my implementations, my services that I provide, I become, more important to the organization, right? Yeah. And because, especially if you're at a consulting firm that only does ServiceNow, you're getting the opportunity to get your hands into everything, right? To say, hey, you know what? I want to get into HR and all right, hey, let's put you on a training. Let's get you shadowing. Let's get you down that path. If you're at a customer, you're kind of stuck to what products they own and they've purchased. So that's what I loved about going to the consultant world from healthcare. It was just the pace. I'm a very, I like to go fast.
I always said it was, it's greenfield every 6 months, right? Like there's a new contract coming in, there's something to try every 6 months, right?
Constant change.
It helps if you unmute yourself.
Yeah.
No, but going off of what the mayor said, it shocks me how consultancy is simultaneously the fastest thing I've ever had to do and the slowest to ramp up. I can't tell y'all how many months I have spent on the bench waiting for my clearance to go through or something. Instance access. It makes me want to cry.
Yeah. And Sharon didn't even realize she was a consultant before coming onto this stream.
That is not that, Sharon. A true statement. I always thought of consultants as like the independent guys, the ones who go out there and do their own things, and not like if you're an implementation partner interfacing with customers every day, that also counts as consultancy.
Absolutely.
I have a tendency to just do what needs to be done in front of me and worry about the names later.
Right.
But to me, now that I know that is consultancy, consultancy is really about providing the customer the information they need to make the right decision.
Mhm.
And that's so many times as the business analyst or admin on the team, what I had to do was get all of this data, present it to them in a way that they're going to go in a best practice path.
And you also have to accept when they don't.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
you don't
really hard part of consultancy.
You don't get to control the client, right? Like you just don't get to make those decisions. But pulling it back to like what is that consultant? I looked at the difference, and it was a huge culture shock when I went from a consultancy to enterprise at ServiceNow. That time is money mindset, right? Like every hour of my day when I was a consultant was parceled up, and I told this is what I was working on, this is the client I could build to. When I switched to an enterprise level, that kind of concept went away, and almost to the point I was almost appalled that my team estimated their stories in days and not hours, right? I couldn't believe that. I just couldn't believe it.
I love that fight. Tell me you're a consultant without telling me you're a consultant. What's your opinion on story points? But that's also something really, really, really important to note is it's a very hard adjustment. I worked at a consultant partner for most of my career. I've never worked at a customer, and I only, other than that, have worked. Well, no, I guess I started at a customer, but that was very brief. I just came from Clear Sky, which is a product partner, and I'm so used to right now just being able to, okay, I'll put in 5 hours in the morning and 5 hours between the hours of like 7 p.m. and midnight, and I'll be good. But right now, this first week at my new job, I am freaking out about how long it's taking me to figure this widget out. And I'm just sitting here going, oh God, I'm billable again. What am I doing with my life? Why did I do this to myself?
Hey, you get a lot of freedom, but you need to be billable. And it was like, I loved being a consultant, and Mike, you and I were talking about this, like that hard work that kind of comes out of it. It shaped a lot of my career, right? Like there's a lot of hard work that it takes to be a consultant. And Gabby, to your point, right? Like that I have to figure this solution out now. Like I learned a lot of lessons where I'd give myself an hour. I only ever give myself an hour to work on something. After an hour, if I've made no visible progress, move on, right? It's those kinds of lessons that it's hard to learn. You can't teach that, right? And it takes that mindset to be a consultant.
I would think that that's the one thing too that I would say really defines a consultant to me is that it doesn't matter when you are needed or what is needed of you, you're going to provide it. Because that's what consultancy is, right? You're going to be there to actualize a solution if you're working 15 hours for a day. And, sometimes you wake up at 9 o'clock and you're like, I don't have anything. I don't have any meetings, so I'm going to go do what I got to do. But when you are needed, you are there and you're going to deliver it, right? Yeah. Even if it's outside your wheelhouse, you have no experience in that particular module, you don't have any resources, but you're going to isolate the client from that particular issue that you're having, and you're going to provide them with the consultancy, the service that you have, the ability to kind of solution for them.
Yeah. I agree and I disagree. I agree in that, yes, you may not have any resources, but being part of a consultancy in a partner like GlideFast, for example, your power is in the quantity of people you have and the varying experience. So at Cask, I always felt comfortable being able to reach out to someone like Zach Fanning and going, hey, this story is kicking my butt. What's going on? Yeah. And that is something you don't get at a customer whatsoever, because a lot of time, customers really
got the community. You got YouTube, you got the community, you got Google, but that's it. You don't have your
exactly. But there's something else to be said though, in that it is a lot easier to talk to your coworkers at a partner because you don't have to worry about disclosing customer information.
Right.
Yeah.
It is such a pain to censor screenshots and make sure I don't include anything
on the community.
Or even on Slack.
Yeah.
So and it's I think let's keep going, right? Like that, Kierna, you touched on a little, like never saying no to a task, right? Never saying no, right? It doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
to an extent.
I would, yeah, to an extent.
I think Dave had a
that's
great
mostly
session
cute.
on this.
There's a, yeah. I'll let you go ahead.
You can say no to things when it's like, let's say it's not, I'm going to say structurally feasible, if it's, architecturally doesn't make sense, things like that. But I'm talking about if I walk in as a consultant and I'm sitting there and I'm supposed to fix something on your ServiceNow instance, and your CEO walks over to me and says, "Hey, can you help me debug this printer?" You know what I say? Yes, absolutely, 100%. I don't know a lot about printers, but absolutely, let me help you. Right? Like, it's saying yes to everything. I don't care if you're going to pay me to mop the floor as a consultant. That's awesome. Right? Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
Honestly, y'all, there's been so many times where I was told to go update these 200 records manually, and there's no way to automate it. So I just need to do it manually. And it's like, you need to learn and let go of things as a consultant, but also know when you are responsible, when you are the architect, you need to know when to push back as well. It's a very delicate balance.
It's an art
That's
form.
the point that I was, yeah.
That's
one thing I was going to definitely say is that the big thing is also being able to lay the turd on the table. Because sometimes you need to be the voice to say, hey, look, I understand that you are asking for XYZ. These are the primary reasons why I would highly suggest not to. And you lay out your case. But then, if they decide, I still want you to stack this turd 8 feet high, okay, I'll do that for you, but then I'm out the door.
And document. Yeah. Cover your butt.
Exactly. CYA.
Yeah. But it's an art form in how you deliver that message, right? You can't just say, "Hey, that's a crappy idea.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna do it." It's like, "Hey, that's a great idea, but if we did it this way, then you wouldn't have issues upgrading, and someone's not gonna look at my code and be like, what the hell is this?"
Let's talk about that, because I've brought that up a few times on this stream, right? Speaking client. It's a different language. It's a completely different language. And I'm not saying it's not misleading, and it's not you like, if someone's like, Kierna, to your point, right? Stack this turd 8 feet high. It's like, and Mike, to your point, right? Like, okay, that's probably not best practice, right? Well, we still want it done. It's like, okay, right? You have to learn how to speak that, and they're going to ask you for your opinion, right? There's times where you're going to get that money ball, right? Like, what are you going to, what's your answer to this? And you've got to be able to just come out with a litany of technical stuff. Then there's sometimes you're sitting in a meeting where you can't speak technically. You're at an upper level. You're talking to upper management. You have to read the room. There's so many skills. Like, there's so much that goes into it that it's so hard to learn.
And honestly, it's like the most terrifying thing, because often you're on these high stress, high pressure situations where, let's just say hypothetically, a local admin who should not have been in prod ran a script, and now 3,000 records are broken. And this is pre-rollback of the fix scripts. You end up in these high stress situations with very stressed out, very up high people who are demanding answers from you immediately. And one of the biggest things that I've had to learn is how to intelligently say that I don't know, because that gets you a lot more respect and it gets you trusted a lot easier than just bullshitting your way through an answer.
Yeah.
How do you say that?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yes, please speak to Sharon Barnes. She's got this.
Say, Sharon,
that's how I say it.
Sharon definitely you have a background in HR, right? And that's one of the things that I've noticed in my dealing with folks that speak HR. They are not IT people, so you have to change the way that you address, the way you talk about technical issues. So I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot, Sharon, but I know that you have kind of an extensive background. Have you kind of noticed having to change cadence when you're in language?
That is something I have done for years, because in many of my roles, I don't know if I'm going to be talking to the CEO or whether I'm going to be talking to Joe Schmo client on the side of the street. Like, figuring out what that matters to them is the most important thing, because if you know what matters to them, you can help them get to that goal in the fastest way. I also really like to present them with two options and tell them the costs. And one of my options, the one I want them to take, is going to sound great.
Mhm.
And the one that does not is going to sound like, let me show
Oh,
you how
worse.
this is going to be tragic for you in
Mhm.
a nice and pleasant and positive way, to where hopefully they don't notice I've given them two
Very
very, very
skewed.
different options. But it's all
Um,
about, this is what it costs you if we go that way.
that brings up my favorite point. Don't believe what they say. They are telling you what what they think the solution to their problem is. They are not telling you what their problem is. So
Right.
Your
always ask
questions
why
be,
and always dig deeper.
Yeah, and it's not don't believe what they say as much as it is, sometimes what they're saying is not what they want, right? It's hey, I'd like
Such a nice way of saying it. This is why I let Sharon talk for me.
right. This is again, that's that client speak, right? It's like I can say something negative without it sounding super negative, right? That's you got to put those leans and slants on things.
But to kind of
I'm
blow
out
that
of
back out,
practice.
I mean, I think that really speaks to the same thing we were talking about earlier. Is when you're in house, there's often myopia, right? You only see the thing that's in front of you, and often when somebody comes to a consultancy, they say, "Hey, this is the problem that we're having. It's massive." And as a consultant, you can kind of sit back and you look at it and you say, "Well, the problem that you're trying a solution for is predicated on this, 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 and this downstream, like or upstream from that particular process." And so you can kind of sit back, take a look at it, at the holistic process, the whole life cycle, and say, all right, well, if we address this one thing that's upstream, we don't have the solution for what you're asking for.
Right.
And that's the big thing. Once you realize that, you start to be able to really critically come into an instance and start asking questions. Because that's the big thing, is asking questions first off. Hey, can you walk me through what you're trying to accomplish? And in that process, you end up unlocking kind of really what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they don't realize, because like it's been said earlier, they are so entrenched in the weeds in their day-to-day processes that they don't realize that no, you don't have to print out a PDF to scan it in the next day, because ServiceNow is not going to drop your tables every night. That doesn't have to be a part of your process. We can move past it.
Wow. Was that really a process that you came into, Gabby?
No comment.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Mike, what is the advice that you give people at GlideFast, right? When they're coming in for interacting with clients, how do you prep them for that?
Well, I guess I'll take a little bit of the approach of, if somebody's coming to me from, that's never consulted before, right? That's coming from a customer, I think we touched on it a little bit, you've been doing it already. You've just been doing it kind of at a smaller scale. When you work with other departments and you gather requirements, and then you translate that into stories and get that built and solution and guide them down best practice, so that's really all it is. If, we have GlideFast Consulting University, which we're taking, kids, younger adults out of college and that maybe never consulted, sometimes first professional job, so I always say be on your A game, be on your A game every single day, and it's, I don't mean it like make no mistakes. Like, it's okay to make mistakes, try not to make them twice, but be bulletproof. If you're when I'm sharing my screen, I'm making sure I'm sharing one thing, right? There's not going to be a message that's going to pop up. I'm very aware of sharing one, I'm only sharing that window that I'm sharing, and so be bulletproof, don't make silly mistakes, because that could crush you just by sharing your screen, right? Especially in the remote world we're in.
Right.
Be professional. Don't, you never have a second chance at making a first impression. So, all that, and just, for anything is work hard. I message you, Mark, like some of your last things, I feel like we're missing out on. The key thing here is, like, it takes a lot to get to be an expert in the space, or even intermediate, right? So it takes a lot of effort. I mean, I carried my laptop around for 2, I still do, but it took me a good 2 years, at least a year, to get, semi comfortable. And that was like working all day in ServiceNow, going home at night trying to figure it out. And luckily I had a little group of us trying to figure it out together. And we had a great community and used all of our resources, you know, Chuck, Jace, all the blogs, the guru, right? And but man, it's not the reason why, you know, I think we're paid very well, and this is a great career for us, is because not everybody can do it, you know, and it takes a lot of dedication. And you know, look, it's Friday night, guys. Where are we? We're not out partying. We're talking about service now. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what it is. And I feel like there's like, you know,
only reason we're not partying is because it's not Knowledge Week.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Next week. I know I'm tired from last week. Oh my God.
Let's be real.
Oh God. Next week's gonna be crazy.
We play hard, but we work hard too, right?
Yeah.
Mike, this is why I love bringing as many people as I possibly can onto these streams, because I had messaged you and said, hey, and you gave me some perspective into this, and I'm like, you're right. Like it looks so easy when you look at me or you or someone, you know, social media, Instagram, it looks so easy. Like what you're missing is, you know, 3 a.m. phone calls. What you're missing is, you know, to your point, right? Like you said this on Breakpoint with Chuck, like having your laptop with you at a house party. Like for 10 years, I didn't leave. Like I slept with like a laptop at my side because I was on call. Like there's all sorts of things that happen, like that you've taken this responsibility, you know, you own it. And I want everyone to understand that, you know, consulting, first of all, is not for everyone. It isn't. Like there's a lot of people that want to go in and put their 9 to 5 and then they're out. That's perfectly fine.
That's okay.
That's not what this is. It's much more dedication than that. You're going to become an expert. You're going to, you know, an SME. You're going to a subject matter expert. You're going to rise to the top of the ranks there, and that's really what's going to start kind of showing off. Right? Is hey, you're doing really well in like, let's just say you're in a customer and you've got that itch. Like you've got that itch of like, there's got to be more to this. Like there's something that I'm missing. I'm like, that's consultant all day long, baby. Like that's who I try to, you know, send towards the consultancy route.
Yeah. And I see people, you know, and I've tried to, especially early on in my career, I've tried to like, dude, you got to get into the ServiceNow thing. It's great. You know, like here's a dev instance. Let's go, you know, and like, here's some stuff. It's not for everybody. And like, people's like, you know, people, especially when they're motivated by money, like, all right, when am I going to make 100K? You said I can make 100K doing this. Like, when is it? I you know, like, it's not like just because you're, you know, there's, and you got to be careful with entitlement. It's probably everywhere, right? It's like, man, just, you know, this is not an easy thing. And even if you do consulting or you are in the ServiceNow world, doesn't mean you're automatically going to make that 6 figures. Like, you know, if you're lucky enough to get an opportunity to get brought into the ServiceNow space, and, you know, just because you're on a project and just because maybe you're billing, but there's a lot that goes into that to make sure you're protected, shielded. You have architects watching out for you. You know, if you have if there's like 3 junior devs and an architect on a project, that architect has to work harder to make sure you're not, you know, messing things up and, you know, teaching you and guiding you and mentoring you. Right. So, you know, there's a lot that goes into that. And I think sometimes I see it in this space where people are just like, well, I'm a ServiceNow developer. I should be making what everyone else makes. And it's not that easy.
It's not the same. Yeah.
And
how many years,
something else to note about
of experience are on this call? I mean, seriously.
Oh yeah, it's got to be over.
Sharon, and I've known you for when you were at Maine, up in Maine.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I mean,
7 years probably.
Yeah. I mean,
something important too, though, is that, in my opinion, salary is largely based off of your negotiating power and how you can sell yourself to the person that you're discussing things with. Because there are people who get criminally underpaid and there's people who get criminally overpaid, and they have very varying experience levels. Now, Guillermo, in our opinion, how much experience does someone need to have with ServiceNow before they start at a ServiceNow consultant? In my opinion, you don't need any special amount of ServiceNow experience. The important thing, and the thing that differentiates it a lot, is that in consultancy, you're going to be more exposed to customers more likely.
Right.
So you need a lot more soft skills, in my opinion, and you can pick up the ServiceNow along the way. But there are different expectations as part of being a partner and or being a customer is that partners expect you to get a lot of certs because certs help them.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a large monetary investment that they're putting into you, which you should also count as part of your compensation. So when you're in interviews, you should always ask what the training budget is if you're in a consultancy.
How does certs help the partner?
Isn't that literally how you get the elite status? The quantity of certs?
The elite status is so watered down. Everybody's elite. Give me a non-elite partner. Everybody's elite. GlideFast actually is the most certified elite partner in the world. I think certifications help the individual more than anything because
100%.
Explain to me why you're going crazy.
I know.
You have to, if I'm interviewing you, right? And I've interviewed probably hundreds of people. If I'm interviewing you and I'm like, hey, and I get on the phone and you say, hey, I'm certified in HR, ITSM, CSM, right? It just brings a level of comfort, right? Like, okay. And people will fight me on this all the time. They'll say, certs don't mean anything. And I'm like, it's not that it doesn't mean everything. It doesn't mean just because you have those certs, hey, experience, absolutely 100%. But if you don't have those certs, you have to explain it, right? You have to say, if I say, hey, do you have any certs? No, I let them expire. And
that's
my
bullshit.
company didn't pay for it, right? If you have them, you don't have to explain it.
So that's the thing, though. Certs I agree. Certs are very, very important for the individuals.
Mm-hmm.
But what certs show is a commitment to the platform and to yourself professionally to develop further.
Yeah. Bingo.
Good
Bingo.
point.
Dedication. It shows you care.
Yeah.
It shows that you didn't let them lapse. I still have my certs active. I don't have CSM. I failed the HR. I'm never going to take that again. But I still have my CIS ITSM, and I'm never letting that expire because if I do, I probably can't pass it again. I failed
VRMI twice.
Yeah. Hey.
By the way, Delta season.
Right.
Go get
Don't do what I do and wait until the last day, y'all. Be smart.
I build the Now Learning platform. I still have to take my deltas, so you go take your deltas, everybody. Yeah, continue.
So I like to get I'm so used to calling you Lombardo. I'm so sorry.
You can call me Lombardo. I'll change my name for you.
I like to get your opinion on Karthik's question.
Okay, well, sorry.
Why are consulting so after SOW than customer satisfaction?
Why are
so basically, why do you chase an SOW to completion much more than they perceive partners chase customer satisfaction?
I think that's a big differentiator from GlideFast and all the other partners. I don't care about the SOW. I care about the long-term partnership. I care about long-term success, right? Because that phase one, this is the misconception that I think a lot of my competitors have is they're just chasing numbers. I'm not chasing numbers. I'm chasing world domination. I know it's.
I'd like to argue that it is your role as the CEO to chase world domination, and that you hire project managers to deal with the SOWs for you.
Yes, but it's the mentality, right? It's like, again, like, what are you going for? We're going for growth. We're going for, success with our customers and with ServiceNow. And, the numbers are important, so the company is profitable. I can make payroll and, we're a healthy business and we can pay people. Yes, absolutely. That's important. And obviously shout out all the engagement managers out there. We need them, right? You can't just run around giving away free work, but it's, for me, I'm not chasing dollars. Like, I'm chasing dominance. I'm chasing, and if you think, talk about Michael Jordan. I got Michael Jordan. I don't know if you can see him right here, right? Michael Jordan, do you know how many wins he had? Do you know how many points he had? No, but he's the best basketball player of all time, arguably. So that's what I'm going for. I'm going for the Michael Jordan story, not for the Bill Gates has 110 million or something,
So
I think that's
that
you know
there's
what, that's
also
something
more
that I wanted to
nuance
talk
to
about
that.
too. Yeah, I was gonna say
Go
that's
for it.
something that I wanted to talk about too, because we were talking about the whole concept of salary hitting 100K or whatever it is, and like that's one of the things. I think anybody that's been in the consulting space, in the partner space, you realize like, hey, we can pay our bills, right? If you work in it long enough, you can pay your bills. It's cool, but I mean, how many of us have turned down jobs that are 15-20% more than you're making because
it's not money.
you realize it's not about money. It's about the fact that, do I have an ecosystem? Do I have people that are going to invest in me, are going to really care about the success of a project? And to your point, Mike, there's a ton of people out there who are going to, nail somebody doing SOW. Things get messed up all the time. Everybody's been part of an engagement that goes belly up and everything's on fire. But if you have people that are working with you, if you have the resources, other people are online at midnight, 2 o'clock, trying to make sure that go live goes correctly. That is worth, X amount of money, whatever it is, because that like I'm not by myself, right?
Yep.
And something
that's the big thing.
Yep, culture.
Something about being in a team is that I think Karthik's question is we have to understand the perspective that it comes from, because from a partner builds a team in order to have different people care about different aspects of it. So you have the engagement managers caring about CSAT, and you have other people caring about meeting the checklines. What I wanted to say is that the perspective of the question almost makes it biased towards, why are consultants so bad chasing SOW instead of customer satisfaction?
Yeah.
And I'd like to argue that they chase both, because technically you do not get paid if the SOW is not met. Like,
Facts.
that's
Facts.
Contractually, literally why they're important.
Facts. Thank you,
CSAT.
MGOPW. Let's go.
CSAT is important, so they bring you more
business
business.
She's got a business mind too. Love it.
Well, I like the SOWs because they tell you what your goal is.
Yeah, unless
what
you're in the
does
government
the
space.
finish line look like?
Unless you're in the government space, then it just says implement service now.
SOWs have been a double-edged sword for me. At sometimes they have been very useful in helping the customer adhere to the requirements and making sure that we're able to implement what they have purchased and that they get a successful go live instead of getting distracted and wasting all our hours on the way there.
Yeah.
But additionally, it's been very tricky, because sometimes delivering upon what has been contractually agreed upon by non-technical people is very, very difficult. So, Mike, which is better, certs or great examples of work completed?
Well, it's kind of hard to communicate the great work completed, right? Sometimes I think it's a combination. I honestly, I'd take the experience any day. I'd take the experience every day, but I think the answer is you really kind of need both, and I don't think you need 20 certs. And the master, architect is a whole nother thing, but just to show, hey, yeah, I have my admin, I have my app dev, I have my CIS, ITSM, and I have 5 years experience, and so I think the answer is different for every person, right? Because everyone has their own journey. It's being able to tell your story, and I think you said it earlier, kind of sell yourself a little bit of, hey, here's the value that I can provide. And I was on a podcast with Chuck Tomasi, and he said, even just, somebody who creates a little blog and shows like, hey, I built this cool game on ServiceNow. It shows creativity. It shows, again, passion. Like, somebody that shows passion to me and that they care and that they want to be here, they want to work, I'll take that any day of the week. What turns me off is when, egos, and someone that's like, I don't need to be on a team, or anti kind of team player. I'd rather take somebody that's less experienced, less knowledgeable, that's more hungry, and it's not going to give excuses, things like that, and that's going to work hard.
So that brings up something for me that's really interesting, because I think all of us that have been in the infrastructure for a while, you realize there's a lot of old time. Like there are some old timers in the system who have been, since Aspen and just busting ass in the infrastructure. A lot of the time, previously, you have people that have solutioned something that worked once, right? And they keep implementing it that same way over and over again. As a consultant, I think one of the big skills that you realize is a solution that works once may not work in the exact same scenario at a different company, right? That
Feels
is
like
something
you're talking a specific one that I worked and got your help with.
A couple of them, maybe half a dozen, but I mean, really and truly, that's one of the things is that in consultancy, you always have to be open to the fact that like the platform changes, it matures, it evolves. It's currently in the middle of an evolution, right? And even if you do have an implementation for a partner that is very, very similar to one you've done before, you have to be open and available to like not just rest on your laurels and be willing to adapt and change. So experience,
You have
really
to be
great.
willing to learn.
Yeah, because you're never going to be. You're going to get humbled every day. I mean, the platform
Yes.
changes every day. I mean, it's
And at a customer,
scary. It's scary.
At a customer, it's very easy to let egos flow because you're the owner, you're the platform owner. You run ServiceNow and you say how the show goes. As a consultant, you're going to get schooled by your customers, you're going to get schooled by your coworkers, and you have to stay humble and ready to learn and willing to stay open and learning new things, like Andrew said. In really quick take, in my opinion, everything you need to get into the industry is to show you are committed to the industry. Get your CSA. Beyond that, whether you get certs or not is up to whether you're at a partnership, your personal motivation, etc. Sharon, in your experience, I know you have not had this experience, but what do you think? What benefits come from what benefits does coming from a customer background help with transitioning to consulting? I know that you have a lot of outside of ServiceNow experience, years of selling, and you have amazing interpersonal skills and amazing soft skills. I want to be you when I grow up. So what do you think about that question?
Of having those sort of industry specific skill sets to where you're speaking, it's natural for you to speak the same language as the company you're going into. Is that the question?
I think it's more, if I worked at a customer, that was my first experience actually. I worked at Versend and I implemented something with a partner. I was the admin. And then I am now a consultant. Wow, I didn't realize I had literally relevant experience to this. Sorry, Sharon. I'll throw you the next one. But the honestly, I have learned a lot ever since that first implementation. And if I ever see the solution consultants that I worked with, I will apologize to them for giving them a 4 out of 5, because I let my bitterness with our internal politics reflect upon the work that the consultancy did because I perceived that they lacked action, when in reality it was my organization. So having that perspective as a customer moving forward into consultancy really helped me realize the shit that I did not want to hear as a customer and the shit that I should not say as a consultant. Like, there are some really easy ways to demean people without realizing it. If you start talking trash about how the current system is, you're out. Yeah. Quite literally. Do not ever talk down on anybody else's work. Find respectful ways to comment on roadblocks and obstacles. Sharon, what are some good strategies on how to say negative things positively? Because you're really good at this.
So find something valuable that they've contributed. Even with the most raw or inappropriate solution that you can come in and replace. And a former boss actually said this perfectly. Don't tell them their baby is ugly. You can't do it. It's not allowed. You cannot tell them their baby is ugly. It's their baby. They think it's gorgeous. So find something about it that has value, because there's something that you've learned from what they've built. There is some feature that they did succeed in creating, even if even if it actually takes 5 clicks to enter data into one field in the legacy application that you're going for, and they've got like 80 fields on this form that they have to fill out, yeah, I would have to have quit working with that system if I came into their organization and they told me that that was what I was going to use. Luckily, I came in, we were already at the point where we want something better. We don't know what it is.
And that's something that I see people step in all the time. They put their foot in their mouths by talking bigger than they should. So they come in, they see something, and they start shitting on it because they think they're the big bad consultant and that they're here to fix everything. But then that's what causes the customer to not feel heard. Because if you come in with blinders and you just start insulting everything you see and not understand the context of why it exists the way it does and why it has been the process they've used for the past 20 years, no matter if they're printing PDFs and then rescanning them the next day, there's a reason why that's going on. And whether it is someone's ego trip or it is, this is what made sense, if you go in and immediately just trash talk their process and they're going to get defensive, and that's going to be the worst way to start your engagement.
So we had this discussion earlier about talking about the skills of a dev versus the skills of a consultant. And that's one of the big things is like, I know people that come out of code school like tomorrow that are 1,000 times better developers than I am. But the one thing that I have been able to do in my career is try to kind of understand when to dial back the technical and when to dial up the cheek kissing and ass patting to make people feel good. And that is the big thing about consultancy, is being able to come in and say, it's going to be okay. Yeah, we're all set. And then be able to kind of go to the other technical stakeholders and be like, hey, look, this is what's occurring in their minds. This is how they're seeing the situation. I get that technically it's not feasible the way they're proposing it, but it's really surfing those lines. It's kind of living in that liminal space between like being a hardcore developer and being somebody who is completely non-technical. And like, those are important. Yeah, those are super important.
Something I do every time I start a new project is I write down the customers' names and their position and their interactions with each other. Because there was a really bad time where one time I said something to someone in front of somebody else where the target audience now felt attacked because of the context that I said the thing I said in, even though it was correct. And on a one-on-one basis, they would have agreed with me and understood. The fact that I said this in front of their peer and or boss now caused a very, very tense situation where they had to defend and they couldn't. There's politics everywhere, and you got to be very careful as a consultant not to step on toes.
I think the lesson to take away from that, right, is every consultant is in sales, every single one, right? It doesn't matter who you are. If you're an admin, you're a developer, it doesn't matter who you are. You're in sales. You need to be selling the company. You need to be selling yourself, selling your skills. It's a sales pitch, right? You've got to keep up that sales pitch and maintain that, you know, the professionalism, the integrity of your work, right? Because that's what it is. It boils down to, you know, your professionalism, your ability to make your company look good reflects on your work.
There's a reason most contracts pay out in installments. So that way you're basically held accountable for the rest of your contract. Your behavior, your skills, your behavior and your work are going to continually affect whether the customer chooses. It's like being in a relationship. You choose to be in a relationship with people every day. It's not just a one-time thing. Your customer chooses to stay with you and not send that contract over to GlideFast and get them to finish it up.
Which customer are we talking about?
None.
Touche, Mike.
Oh man, I think. Hey guys, I lost power at home, and somehow, Gabby, thank you for keeping everybody entertained. I think that's how it sounded like you took charge there for a second. I wasn't quite sure because my headphones cut out.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. You know, we're all natural born leaders, and someone took charge so I wouldn't be so embarrassed, which is great. Unfortunately, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut us off a little early, about 10 minutes early. But what I'd like to do, unfortunately, I don't think I could put you in solo layouts.
We're just getting warmed up, man. We're just getting warmed up. You're gonna cut us off. We got a crew here right there.
Dude, we got a crew. We've got tons of engagement. Chat's lighting up like crazy, and I want to go out on a high instead of like maybe you know what we'll do?
Until 4 a.m. with drinks.
Until 4 a.m.
Literally
Everybody's
oh
man. Yeah, and then
for you, Mark.
Hey, you know what? I tell you what. Let's do this again. I'll ping everybody. We'll get it all scheduled. We'll come up with another topic that everybody's very passionate about, because it sounds like we need to have consulting as a skill set part 2. I don't know. Like, it doesn't seem like we even scratched the surface to all of this. There's a lot to go, but yeah.
I have a question. What is this panel like want? What do you guys want for like the next topic? Because I want a lot out of the show. I
was gonna say, I want a really nice Glide Fast hoodie.
Oh, I got you. I got the perfect one. I have the perfect hoodie for you.
I got no Glide Fast swag either, personally. I don't know.
All right, look, can I show you? Can you give me 2 seconds and I'll go grab
it?
Run.
Okay. Yeah, let me see if I can make you like. Oh yeah, I can make you solo. On so many
occasions, I have stated the fact. The fact is, I will happily help you on Slack. For swag. I will happily help you on Slack for food.
Because I have never got any swag from helping anybody. So.
I know, but did you ask?
Oh, you gotta ask. Hey, Kieran accepted a job and then never came here. So you would have got a whole bunch of swag. So one of our developers, Rachel, designed this and made this.
Sipping on winning juice.
I don't know why it looks so weird.
I like it.
Oh, it's so good.
That is very cute.
It's all reversed. I'll send it to you. Send me your address.
Heck yes.
Yeah, we'll set it all up.
Wait a minute.
I'll get everybody on the call one.
The PhxDev Slack exchange or the swag exchange. What? Come on. This is it's fun. We're having fun, and we're getting some branded swag that just happened to be given to us by it just happened to be donated right to your door in a cardboard box. Like,
that's it.
But along to his question though, I feel like this is a topic that I had no idea I had this much to talk about. And I write a little bit about it on womennow.dev. You should go check it out. I have a lot of great blog posts for people getting started in the industry. I have a fantastic one about working at a partner versus at a customer. It's fantastic. Yeah. But I actually hashtag socials. But legit, I didn't know I had these many things to say about this. And I had a whole bunch of fun here today. Yeah. I feel like consulting as a skill set is a great topic to get people to rant.
It is. Yeah.
And I think that's one thing too, that there's a lot of appetite in me for people to really understand how to break into it. And I think if you're not in it, it's super intimidating. But there's a lot of us, particularly the womennow.dev, you guys are putting out a ton of content about being able to really lay out the path. It is not that difficult. As you said, it requires dedication and a desire to do it.
It's
like
work.
GlideFast Academy. There's a GlideFast Academy. I mean, you guys are offering paths for a lot of people to come up. There's other ones for veterans. There's a ton of stuff out there. But I think, there's a huge appetite, and all of us want other people to join, right? Yeah. I have never met anybody in the ServiceNow infrastructure that says, get out of here.
Kool-Aid.
We're all looking to have people jump in the pool.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. All that means nothing if the person's not working their butt off.
Exactly.
Honestly,
that means nothing. The veteran program, Skill Bridge, we were a big part of getting that going with ServiceNow, and GlideFast University, whatever it is. If you're not working your butt off 24 hours a day, and maybe not 24, but 12.
No, 24.
You're not going to get there. You're not going to get there.
This is something
we have
that
to
Jeff Lamonis.
Real
quick, you go.
Sorry, one last thing. We have to recognize that. Like we have to tell people that, hey guys, just because you're whatever doesn't mean you're entitled to this. Like, this is something you got to work for, you know, and like
Yeah.
a little bit of tough love, I guess, old school, but
No, I love
It's
it.
not
Yeah.
tough love. It's
Overnight,
legit.
you know?
There has never
Yeah.
been a moment. I used to do this a lot when I was younger. I used to put so much of myself into people, and I would spend so much of my time trying to motivate them
Yeah.
and give
Not
them
gonna
external
happen.
motivation. Go take the CSA. I'll get you all these resources. I'll help you out. I'm here.
Yep.
And I would spend so much of my energy trying to live people's lives for them. Now I have a here is my Google Drive of resources. You can use it. It is up to you now. And once you show that you want to do this and you prove it to me by getting your CSA, that's when we can talk. And I mean, if it's the money thing, I'll help you find the $450 to take the class and take the cert. But you have to show that you want to do this. My mentor, the guy who got me into ServiceNow, literally the guy who took a chance on me to get into IT, when I told him that I fixed my car by YouTubing a fix and going to a dumpster and pulling the part out of another car and saving $350. He has always told me, his name is Jeff Lamonis. He gets super mad at me when I reference him and I don't like give his full profile, like Jeff Lamonis at Citrus Flows.
Just go do it
but
anyway.
he always told me, you build your career outside of work. Like, you can't expect a partner or a customer or anybody to chase after you to take certifications, to pay for everything that you're going to need to do. It's great to get these as perks, but it's not owed to you whatsoever. You have to demonstrate
100%. You know who had the best early on, who kind of taught me that, was Travis Tolson. He brought like some new people into GlideFast, and he said, because I think we were talking about that, of like, hey, dude, like I would invest in people and then it'd just be a big zero and it's a whole waste of my time. He's like, I'll send somebody these, just like you said, I'll send somebody these 10 things, like, do that, call me when you've done that, and then I'll talk to you, you know? And like Lauren Toomey is a perfect example. That was one of like his mentees, kind of, and she's a rock star. I mean, and he took her from no development experience, you know, and she did it on her own, you know, and she's a badass now, you know.
Travis is amazing. Travis and Sarah have taught me so much, and they teach me things every day. But something that I have noticed, and I think it's the next evolution of our community and where I'm really pushing our community to go to next, and Jace is doing a great job of this. Literally, the content is out there now. Sure, it might be 2 or 3 versions old by the time you get to it. And yes, when you get started, it's hard to discern things like this. But the content is out there. It is literally now the problem of reaching it. And this is something that ServiceNow has done to themselves by lacking the internal centralized documentation, but and which has caused the community to make up for it and provide all these resources, which is great. But now it's everywhere. It's disjointed. There is no one path of doing it except the ServiceNow developer.servicenow.com website. They have amazing learning paths, and they have gotten to be way better. The website is improving every day, and that is a very centralized, free resource to access to get started and have a linear path. Now learning has risen up in the most recent months and year, but the most steady so far has been it. The problem isn't the content existing. The problem is giving people access to it without overwhelming them.
Yeah, exactly.
The developer side is why I'm here.
Same here.
Yeah.
SNDevs.com is why I'm here.
All right, I gave Sharon. Anything you want to pitch? Any final thoughts?
I want to summarize what all of y'all said as what you look for as people coming into this, and what they need to have as one acronym: ACE: attitude, coachable, effort. If you have those 3 qualities, you can learn to do this. You got to have the attitude to want to do it, and the excitement and the energy, and you got to put in the effort. Nobody's going to carry you over the finish line. And as long as you're coachable and keep learning, because the industry evolves so quickly, there's always new things to learn, which is great. I love learning. That's one of my favorite things, but you got to stay coachable.
100%. 100%.
Absolutely.
That's an awesome acronym right there. That's great.
Yeah,
And
I love that.
I don't like fake it till you make it. I don't like that.
I mean,
No,
honestly, though,
I
that
don't
feels
like that.
really
I don't like that.
really appropriate for the shit that I've done these past 5 years. Like, let's be real. The
I
amount
think
of
the
times I've
reality-
sent like giffies to my friends going help SOS. Like, nah.
But that's
But
the reality.
real quick,
The reality of it all is that, like, I get what you're talking about, Mike. We're all faking it all the time. We're all figuring it out. But the thing is that we're doing it towards the goal of trying to provide service. So we're going to give our best faith effort, go ahead, pound our ass into the ground until we find a solution or a fix. And if we can't find a solution or a fix, we're going to come back as a team and say, hey, look, this is a situation that's not going to happen. But yeah, I mean, we're all figuring it out as we go along in everything. So faking is,
I want to mention, faking till you're making it is valid. I agree with Kieran. Sorry, Mayor.
It's okay. It's all right. We can disagree.
But can we point out the fact real quick that not once in this call did we mention JavaScript or like developer or coding or anything like that? That's the most important takeaway. It's your soft skills, y'all. Get out of the development dungeon, like I like to call it, and go talk to people. It sucks, and I hate it.
I'm looking on your profile right now on LinkedIn, right? And I see your resume up there, and it's a ServiceNow service portal with it's badass. I mean, like,
you liked it?
That's what we're talking about. It's like making yourself different. And like, you know, I kind of, you know, I always see what's his name always posting about resumes, and I'm like, what is a resume? Like, I don't care about your resume. Like, I don't care. Tell me what your experience is and what, you know, tell me something exciting. Like, I don't want, I'm not going to read your resume. I'm not going to read. I'm sorry. I'm not going to actually read about an application you built. I want you to tell me about it, you know, sell it to me, you know?
Yeah. Those soft skills. Give me the story. Like, because if you can tell me the story of how you built this for yourself, you can tell me why you built it for a client, right? It's going to translate.
We're going to ask you the technical questions. We're going to ask,
exactly.
I mean, that's going to be a definite, you know. Can you put a glide record? Should you put a glide record query in a client script? You know, like, we're going to go through that, and we're going to, you know, so that's fine.
Don't do that. All right.
No, Mark. This is my show.
No, Mark. Stop it.
No, Mark.
Stop it, Mark. Stop it.
This is crazy. This is out of control. I've got four lunatics all talking over each other.
Yeah, no, you got four egomaniacs in here. I'm sorry. You did this. I did this to you. I'm sorry. But like I was saying,
let's go.
What Sarah said is really important. Recruiters care about resumes. Yeah. That is literally it. I can't tell y'all how many times not having a degree and not having like all the keywords on my resume hasn't helped me, because once I'm able to talk to people and tell them, like, I love this line because it's like, feels like the one thing you shouldn't say, but I always say that I'm not going to be the developer who's going to sit here coding for you for 12 hours straight. I'm going to be the developer who throws her face at this problem for 3 days straight until I figure it out. And I make sure to get it done and delivered. Like, I'll work a 60-hour, 3-day week and to get this portal ready for you before Monday. And that's what matters. Is what about you? What you bring, your personality, what you bring to the table. Okay, I'll let go, Mark.
I think that's a great segue, Gabby. I think that's a great segue, because next week I'm going to talk about burnout and how you cannot do.
Can I come back?
60 hours. Like, no,
Mark, you're too nice to these people. You're creating a generation of like, you know, I don't need to work. You know, you gotta
come on,
tough love for these people. They need tough love. Like,
hey, it's how the schedule. It's
tough love.
We're some of the highest paid industries in the world.
It's true.
I mean, like,
it's true.
I would just like to add the caveat that I am in no way able to comment on the mayor's leadership nor GlideFast as a company, but that general sentiment, it is I agree. Tough love is important. Egos are bad. Yeah. But corporate abuse and corporate
no one's saying corporate abuse
can be a bad thing. Like,
but I'm saying
grinding culture.
There's people that are in this ecosystem that I think are not full experience, that are like, you know, that just because they're in the ServiceNow space, you know, are like, hey, I'm entitled to a certain amount of money, or, you know,
100%.
or hey, I don't, you know, why do
Yeah.
I have to work 40 hours a week? Like, I mean, man, when I was
There's
at Aquario,
people-
I was billing 60 hours a week.
Easy.
And I was
Yeah.
That's a
doing sales,
problem.
and I was
That's
doing
not-
recruiting, and that was my
That's
choice.
not
though,
good.
you know, but that was my choice. And,
Right.
you know, and
It
I'm
was
not,
his
you know,
choice.
in the beautiful thing about this space, when you're that good and this goes back to the resumes thing, is we can go work wherever we want. So
Yeah.
if I were to say to somebody, hey, you have to work 60 hours this week, they're gonna be like, screw you, I'm gonna go to a shitty
Right.
partner, like, you know, I'm not gonna say it,
Yes,
but
and
you know,
that's a very
it's
important thing.
like another partner, you know, like we can go wherever we want. Go ahead, Kieran.
So I gotta head out here in a sec. But
all right.
I will say my last thing I have to say about consultancy. When I started, none of this was white. I had hair on here. So like, yeah, they're like it. I swear to God, all of this is gone. I have gained about 30 pounds, and my hair is gone completely.
So let's
I
put
feel
it.
that.
But you're not one of the
Consultancy's
people I'm
great.
talking about. You're not one of the people
Yeah.
I'm talking. You're one of the people that everyone else is talking about burning out, right? And
Right.
you're a rare breed. You're not, you know, like not everybody. People, I think we need to preach. Okay, let's meet halfway. Let's preach a
You saw
strong
me.
work ethic, but
Correct.
not an abusive, over
down.
burnout work ethic. All right.
How about-
The
how about-
difference
it's
is
both.
when I have been forced to do a 60-hour weekend,
Yeah, that's different.
I leave a job. When I want to,
Possible.
because I believe in this
Yes.
and I want to make it happen,
It's your choice.
that's the difference.
People
And-
work at
Possible, but
GlideFast
not
because they want to.
expected. Yeah. Don't expect
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Go,
Yeah.
Sharon.
That
You're too
is
nice for this
something that
forum.
that is something
Sharon's
that
too
the
nice.
leadership will make or break, and the culture will make or break.
100%.
I can say from personal experience, I can do 80 hours a week for about 8 years, and then I'm toast.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's
not
not
good, Sharon.
But I will
100%.
also say the thing around that is the first 40, maybe 50 hours can be really good work.
Yeah.
But eventually you get to diminishing returns of effectiveness.
Yeah.
And I think that is what we should explore the next time we get together is
Let's do it.
burnout and how to make sure you're still productive when the crunch needs to happen.
Yep.
I love Sharon. That was such a great segue to end the show. Mark, take it
Oh,
away before.
Thank
I
you.
get back.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you so much, Sharon. Everybody, thank you in chat for being with us. Thank you so much to my panelists. Like, this has been so much fun. Obviously, we're over. I have no power in my house except for my lights are working in here because I've got them on a UPS. Like, thank you so much, everybody. Like, this has been so much fun. This has probably been the best live stream we've done so far, but it's been the worst technically. So same time next week, 5:30 PST. 8:30 EST if you're on that side of the coast. Otherwise, do the conversion yourself. But thank you so much again for everybody. I'll put links in the chat for everything. And yeah, peace out.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks,
Go to
everybody.
Thank you very
lemonnow.dev,
much.
sndevs.com,
Yes.
Pat on the back
developer.servicenow.com.
here, Mark. Pat on the back.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks,
See you
everybody.
guys.
Thanks for being on. Thanks, Sharon.